All right, everybody. It's a Worlds Collide Wednesday, the Final Fantasy VI randomizer race. How's everybody doing out there on Speed Gaming 4? My name is the Schwantz27. I am joined by co-commentator Magre. How are we doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing great. Glad to hear you are too, and excited to see this first exhibition of the Moogle's first tournament flag set.
Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of Ultros League runs here on the Speed Gaming channel, and the Ultros League is still going on, ultrosleague.com, by the way, in case you would like to sign up. But we just announced today a brand new tournament, and this is sort of geared towards both newer players and veteran players in order to help teach the community how to get good, basically. So Moogle's first tournament is sort of a co-op tournament of a mentor and mentee type of relationship. I'm pretty stoked to do it. I signed up to be a mentor, so hopefully that means that I'm halfway decent at this game. Uh, that remains to be seen, though. So
That'd be great.
why don't you go over sort of what the differences are between some of the races we've been seeing the past few weeks here on Speed Gaming and what Moogle's first tournament is going to give for us?
Sure, sounds great. And maybe if we get paired up, you can help me get good. All right, so Ultros League is basically our new standard race set, but with this Moogle's first tournament, it's going to be a hybrid flag set that's halfway between our intro flag set for our brand new beginners and our standard race seed that most of our racers are going to be playing. So our racers are still going to be navigating this Worlds Collide randomizer, searching for 6 characters and 9 espers to unlock that final boss at the Kefka's tower. And if they recruit 9 or 12 espers going over those requirements, they will get a skip to the final 3 statues right before the final boss. Some differences with the Moogle's first tournament flag set is that stats are going to be boosted. Our baseline stats will be 100%, but it will be randomized up to as high as 125% of normal stats. They'll have the ability to summon espers multiple times in a fight, which is normally locked. Some other interesting items are our racers are going to start with some warp stones, enabling some faster checks for them. But probably the biggest difference is the amount of shopping that our racers are going to be able to do. Some key items to crack a seed open will be available in shops that are normally locked. And those items include elemental rods that can be broken to cast spells, elemental shields that can be used in the same way. Super Balls, Experience Eggs, and Illuminas will all be available in shops at a randomized basis.
All right, get the credit card. We don't need Prime Day. We got, Moogle's first tournament day here.
Absolutely. And then there's going to be one other goodie that you can't find on Amazon. It's that cursed shield if you find Locke and you go grab it out of the World of Ruin Narsh. The cursed shield can be decursed in 1 to 16 battles, randomized. And if you do that, our racers can unlock the Ultima spell, something that is almost always locked in our races, but it's like it sounds, the ultimate spell to take down Kefka.
So it might be big blue bubble time here on stream. We also have several different quests that you can complete in order to earn yourself a high tier item, one of which is performing in the opera, the very famous scene from the vanilla game. The other is the very famous meme from the vanilla game, suplexing a train. So can't wait to see if maybe our runners find and suplex our train here. And we do start with 3 characters, right? So we have to recruit 3 additional characters, and hopefully we can get to that pretty soon. I'm going to crank my mic up a little bit. Hopefully, does that sound a little better, chat? You guys and girls out there will have to let me know. I'm gonna crank it just a smidge. I did have to crank it down on my own stream one time, so maybe I should just start yelling. Speaking of yelling, we are off, and we have Realm, Umaro, and Setzer. Realm has Magitek, and Setzer has Lore. So one of the commands that is not available in our Ultras League seeds that is available in Moogle's first tournament is the Magitek command. So that should be very interesting to showcase that particular command here, Magre.
Absolutely. Magitek is really going to crack the seed open from the start. You're going to start with Terra's set of Magitek commands, so 3 elemental bolts, fire, ice, and electrical bolt, and then, beams. And then you're also going to get the Bioblaster to do some AoE damage. You're going to get an instant death spell. You're going to get some healing, and the all-important Tech Missile.
Yeah, Tech Missile basically cracks open the game right away. It is a non-elemental magic defense ignoring type of attack. So we'll probably see lots of abuse of that very early on in the seed. We did see Double Down run over to the Colingen in order to get his first Esper. I didn't see what was on it yet. He didn't pick up his menu, but all of the magic that you learn from different Espers is randomized. The characters, obviously, that you start with are randomized. The bosses are shuffled together. So a lot of different randomness going on here. And Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide has a concept called character gating, where the different events in the world are gated by whatever characters are in your party. So with Umaro, it is the Yeti Cave in the world of Ruin, where you would recruit him in vanilla. With Realm, we have Owser's Mansion and Esper Mountain. And with Setzer, we have the Colingen Inn, which is where Double Down went first, and Daryl's Tomb, along with being able to search the sky for the Doomgaze spot. So a different variety of checks that are open to our runners. We'll see where they decide to go, but both of them seem to be doing some looting in the first 10 minutes of the seed, because you start with nothing and everything in shops and chests are randomized. So we never know what we're going to dig out of it here.
Yeah, and as we were talking about that Magitek ability and specifically Tech Missile, all of those abilities scale with magic power. So our racers are looking right now to find a bunch of items that they can sell and also look in some shops to see if they can buy some magic boosting items. They're looking for earrings. Looks like Double Down found an enhancer, which is a sword with just a ton of magic power on it. But unfortunately, Realm can't
Ooh.
equip it, so he didn't buy one. But knowing where those are can be good for when you get a magic user that can equip it.
There is another great weapon for sale in that shop, the Valiant Knife. Unfortunately, I didn't see if anybody could equip it. In this particular set of options, your vanilla equipable pool, plus there's a 33% chance a random character who could not equip an item in the vanilla game can equip it here in this particular seed. And I'm not sure whether anybody can, because remember, in the vanilla game, the Valiant Knife is only available to lock. So it's good to at least note that down and maybe come back later for it.
Yeah, and at least Nobody War picked up one earring in a barrel off to the side, so his realm is going to be boosted. Did not catch if Double Down picked it up, but guarantee our racers will be looking everywhere for earrings.
Yeah, so since Magitek is an ability that scales based off of your magic power and not based off of your strength stat, earrings will definitely help out there, because you could stack earrings to do 50% or up to 50% rather more damage for magic power, 25 per earring, and plus they look fabulous. Who wouldn't want a pair of earrings, right?
Absolutely, and they go great on Realm. So interesting that our racers are both in the South Figaro basement right now. It's a very chest and loot dense area, but Double Down took that extra check, and yet he's caught up, and they're both looting the basement at the same time. So we've got a nice head-to-head race right now. It'll be interesting to see where they go next. Some people don't like to double down on the South Figaro in the other world, and they try to branch out and go other places.
So there was also a Genji glove down in the basement. So again, we know where Valiant Knives are for sale. They're a bit on the steep side right now, but we will certainly find some garbage that we could sell along the way. Um,
Okay, Double Down is over here in Zen. He's peeking what the Zen Thief has to sell, and it's a very expensive Esper, but he can try to get it in the other world a little bit cheaper. It's about 50,000 gil right now, and he doesn't have that available unless he kind of sells everything. I'd be surprised if he does. Oh no, he's going to spend all his money on those earrings, like we were talking about, to boost Realm's magic power.
So we do have Setzer with lore, and we do get 5 starting lores, and 2 of them, Aqua Rake and Blowfish, could be pretty decent. The only unfortunate downside is that lore spells tend to cost a lot of MP, and we don't necessarily have that very early in the game. However, with Realm, with Magitek, we're going to level up pretty fast. So we give our runners 3 Moogle Charm relics, and that allows them to skip the random encounters that you usually see in vanilla, which means that they could take off this relic and grind some random battles, which is what Nobody War is doing here in the basement of South Figaro. Meanwhile, Double Down is going on a shopping spree. As you mentioned, there is a piece of magic for sale from the Tizen Thief, and we know that due to the text hint of glowing stone for this X amount of money. So we'll see if he goes over to the World of Ruin to see if it's a little bit cheaper there, or if he decides to do some fighting checks.
Yeah, Nobody War is getting an early jump on the scaling. So our scaling is going to be our character's progression plus dragons. So with Nobody War having 3 characters and 0 espers, enemies are going to be normalized around level 6 with a slight bit of variance in there, so it's a little bit unpredictable. But our characters start at level 3, so he's trying to catch up, get ahead of those enemy scaling so that when he takes on his first boss, he's not underpowered.
Yeah, so for each character, esper, and dragon, it's level ×2 with some variants, as you said. So you don't really want to load up on a lot of objectives early, because then it's a very big hole that you're going to need to dig yourself out of. Double Down heading over to Jador in the World of Ruin, where the Owser's Mansion check is. As I mentioned, it is one of Realm's checks, and there's the Behemoth suit, which is one of Realm's best pieces of armor for sale in the shop there. Owser's Mansion, there are 2 forced encounters that you need to fight, a couple of paintings that you need to throw down at. And there we see some fire rods. So that was one of the differences you had talked about, Magre, from the different options we had been seeing, is that you can buy rods in a shop. So we'll see how Double Down uses those fire rods here at this next battle.
Yeah, for any of our viewers unfamiliar, you can use those fire rods as an equipable item as a weapon, but more frequently our racers use them as a breakable item in a battle, and it will cast the level 2 spell associated with the element, and it will do the max available damage of that spell for the character. So it's really going to cut through those bosses very quickly, and we saw Double Down buy, I think, 3 of them, as many as he could afford, to try to get through this first encounter and the first boss at Jador's Mansion.
So we did. Oh, there's a Ragnarok in a pot. What are you doing with that sword? We'll see if Setzer can maybe equip that. But he did go peek in the auction house, and the auction house Barker said that there were glowing stones available, so you could also purchase some espers from the auction house. So there's a couple of different options for our runners to get to those 9 pieces of magicite here. Nobody War is in the World of Ruin, South Figaro. Now, you can loot the World of Ruin, South Figaro overworld. Those chests are different from the ones in the World of Balance, South Figaro. However, the ones in the basement are shared, so that's why he didn't even bother going down there. Double Down passed his first encounter in Owser's Mansion, and Nobody War heading to World of Ruin to Zen, and we'll see how much cheaper that glowing stone is.
Not much.
Not
He's
much.
only going to save about 3,000 by traveling forward in time all the way to the World of Ruin. But the good news for Nobody War is that he knows where it is. He knows he's peaked both worlds now, and whenever he's got that money available, he can go to either one for pretty much the same price.
Yeah, so Blizzard Orb pickup in the Owser's Mansion, that is a relic that normally in the vanilla game, Umaro can be the only one that equips. But again, with that random 33% of equipable pool, some of the other characters might be able to equip it. And one of the good things about the Blizzard Orb is not only does it give you +5 magic power, but it also gives you immunization to fire magic, and it will absorb ice magic. So it's a very good relic for elemental protection here.
Looks like Nobody War picked up Carbuncle, and there are a couple of offensive spells there. I thought I saw Flare. Did you catch the others?
No, I didn't see what that one was.
It looked like one of them might have been either a Meteor or a Merton. I don't think it was Merton, but it would be exciting if it was, and that Blizzard Orb would certainly come into play if we're going to be casting spells that damage our own party with fire damage.
Yeah, so chat confirms it was Meteor and not Merton. Meteor is a spell that costs a lot of money, but in a pinch it will help out because it is considered a non-elemental spell, even though they are supposed to be space rocks flying at the enemy party. I never quite understood how this game sometimes works with some of its elemental things. But Nobody War is heading up to the Colon Inn. It looks like he's going to get Magicite number 2 as well from this person drinking at the counter here.
Yeah, I always thought that Meteor should have been its own element that the dinosaurs found in Final Fantasy VI or Week 2, but I don't know if there's enough space in the programming to facilitate that.
Yeah, it does have strength +1 on it, which is great to find very early in a seed, but we don't have a physical attacker yet. Because remember, we have Magitek on Realm and we have Lore on Setzer, and depending upon whether or not Setzer can equip that Ragnarok, will depend on what he's going to be doing. We do find Guardian, however, at the end of Bowser's Mansion, a late game boss, but as Magre mentioned, since it is scaled to the amount of progression you have, the Guardian is scaled way down to level 6 here. So it shouldn't be nearly as difficult as it is in the vanilla game at this spot with these characters, but still an HP tank, and Tech Missile will take care of it though.
Yeah, we saw Double Down try the Aqua Rake spell because Guardian is weak to water as a robot, but those fire rods really just crack it open, like I mentioned earlier with the max damage available on the random roll behind the scenes in the calculation. So unfortunately it's a dead check and one of the least desirable ones in a Genji helmet. But Nobody War found the White Dragon in the Opera House and is going to have to deal with some Pearl spells.
Yeah, so much the same way bosses are. Dragons have been scaled downward from their vanilla HP and whatnot values. And in this particular case, we're going after dragons not because they're required, but because they do give a lot of XP. They also grant 50 magic points, which basically allows you to learn almost any spell in one go. And it also will drop you a top tier item. I didn't catch what the item was, but we did learn some spells, and we did have Blowfish, which does straight up 1,000 damage. So Nobody War taking advantage of that early lore here. And it looks like Double Down is going to either save or kill Sid, and we'll see which one he chooses.
Yeah, Nobody War received a Pearl Lance for killing the White Dragon, which is the normal reward, and then his additional high tier item ended up being a Snow Muffler, which is one of the best armors in the game, but it has a low equip ratio. So, like Schwantz mentioned, yeah, it's got that 33.3 repeating, of course, percent chance for anyone else to equip it.
It looks like Double Down wants to kill Sid. This guy's a vicious murderer. Are we sure we want him in the community? So how this works is you can feed Sid either fast-moving fish or slow-moving fish. The slow-moving fish will kill them. The fast-moving fish will save him. And Sid's HP counts down by 1 every second, and he starts out with 120 HP. So Double Down really trying to force his way over to get that slow fish. You can reset the entire pond's fish by talking to Sid once again, or you could reset the current fish's position by doing what he's doing, going off screen and coming back on. It looks like he's just going to reset the pond entirely, fish and everything, by talking to Sid here.
Yeah, and when Double Down either saves or kills Sid, he'll be rewarded with a high tier item. So he's looking for something to crack the game open, maybe an Illumina, an Atma weapon, an Offering. Those are really some of the best ones, that Valiant Knife that we saw for sale, if you can find a user for it. But you can also get some very beneficial armor out of this objective reward.
Yeah, not having any luck here with these fish. The bad thing about the slow fish is they don't move very fast. Obvious they're Schwantz, but if they're caught along in the ocean, it's very hard to actually catch them because you're only allowed to go certain ways on the beach. And there it is, R.I.P. Sid. F's in the chat to pay respects for him. And he does get a high tier item out of it. Let's see what item it actually was. It looks like it might have been a red cap.
Yep.
Also not a great high tier item. So that's 2 bad helmets in a row for Double Down.
And he gave the Ragnarok to the Yeti, so Yeti getting a rare crack at a top tier sword. Now I don't think he'll be able to use the MP crit feature of the Ragnarok, so he's not going to use it to its full potential. But Yeti, unfortunately, is often one of the first characters kicked out of the party when you find a replacement. So I'm sure he'll be on the lookout for someone else like Terra, Celeste, or Locke to take use of that Ragnarok.
Yeah, the other thing with the Yeti is not only could he not take advantage of the Ragnarok proc, but he is a berserked character. He's uncontrollable, which isn't that big of a deal early on in the game, but when you start fighting some of the end game bosses, you need to hit certain parts of the boss at certain times, and the Yeti just becomes unreliable and a liability in that particular way. But does have one of the best defense and offensive stats in the game. Uh, I don't know if we mentioned the Coliseum. So Yeti is very good for getting into the Coliseum. Um, there is a rewards menu in Worlds Collide where you could see which random item gets traded for which other random item, and you have to fight a random enemy. You could see between, I think, 25 and 50% of the items, right? It's 75 to 128, so something like that.
Yeah, that math checks out.
So Double Down is heading up the world of Ruin Narsh. You could actually check what the reward is at the Yeti Cave in this little hidey hole here, but in the world of Balance, not in the world of Ruin. So I don't think either one of our runners checked in the world of Balance Narsh. I don't think either of them actually went to World of Balance Narsh to see what this particular reward was. However, there is a dragon up here, so we'll see if Double Down takes it, and who's probably going to do the Yeti Cave after this.
Yeah, Nobody War is going after the Doomgaze spot, searching the skies, and he finds a Flame Eater. So he's going to have to find some kind of way to deal with this. Yeti with a body slam right on target will go to work on it. Realm with Magitek, she's got the Ice Beam, sets her with the Aqua Rake, will make quick work of Flame Eater, and we'll see what the reward is. Here it can be either an item or an esper.
Yeah, so no character from the Doomgaze spot, and it is the Storm Durgan over on Double Down's screen. Weak to lightning, believe it or not, because I guess the Storm Dragon is supposed to be wind, and lightning counters wind or something like that. I don't know. Again, we didn't create the game; we just play it, and it is an Esper for Nobody War after beating Flame Eater with some Aqua Rakes and some well-targeted body slams, and that is the Phantom Esper. So Double Down taking the lead here in terms of raw numbers. 3 Espers and 3 characters to 1 Esper and 3 characters.
Yeah, that's Nobody War taking the lead, and Double Down unfortunately just having some bad check luck, but he's got Tri-Talk coming up, which is also going to be a possibility for an Esper or an item reward, followed quickly by jumping into the Yeti's cave where he can get he could find another character.
Yeah, so Fire 2 and Cure 2 on that Esper from the Search the Skies spot, so a pretty decent one at that. And we're going to see Tri-Talk is open to all characters. It's not a character gated check. And the boss here is Dullahan. So we got a little bit of, I guess, vanilla extract going on because Nobody War is in Daryl's tomb, which is where Dullahan is in the normal game.
Yeah, I like that vanilla extract. The fire rods are going to be pretty effective against Dullahan with him being weak to fire if Double Down has any left. And we will see tech missiles flying for the rest of this seed as Realm just continues to abuse that or mash that tech missile button.
We did see a Bismarck sighting, so I hope Drew is in the chat. Shout out to you, Drew. But Dullahan is actually weak to fire, which is weird because he looks like a chariot on fire, so you would think he absorbs fire. But he actually absorbs ice, which is not the same as water in Final Fantasy VI. So go chew on that, as we do have a piece of Magicite here. It is Ramu here, and we've got Gao. Our first character is what we read on the tomb, and we have to defeat one of the Ultros to get Gao.
Yeah, and earlier Nobody War picked up Phantom. Phantom the Esper, when cast, will make your entire party invisible, and that's going to be one not very desirable, but one possible way that our racers can deal with an ability called Calmness as part of the final Kefka battle, and they're going to be trying to find Calmness protection throughout this race. The two of the more desirable ones are going to be the Golem and Fenrir Espers that will just make it so that the enemy called Sleep can't hit you with that Calmness instant death attack. But Phantom will work in a pinch, so be on the lookout for other Calmness protection as our racers progress through this challenge.
Yeah, so question from the chat. What are the objectives? So as you can see on the tracker there in gold are the objectives. We need to get 9 pieces of Magicite. We need to recruit 6 characters, and we do not need to defeat any dragons in order to unlock Final Kefka to defeat the game here. And it looks like we do have a piece of Magicite stuck in the Yeti cave. So that's a big twofer here for Double Down, as Nobody War gets Gao with Control and Dance. So, ooh, egg sighting. We've got an egg. See what I did there?
Yeah, and experience eggs are going to double the experience for whoever they're equipped on, and all of Final Fantasy VI's damage formulas scale with levels and scale very quickly with levels. So it's one of those game-breaking items, and if Nobody War is smart, he will sell everything. He will sell the kitchen sink to buy as many of those experience eggs as he can.
Yeah, levels are the most important thing in Worlds Collide. So we'll see how many of them he decides that he wants to purchase here. It looks like he also found some dried meat in here, which is great because that's what you need in order to complete Gao's check on the Veldt. You basically have to feed the reward some dried meat, and Nobody War, even though he did recruit Gao, he did not put Gao into the party yet because you could only recruit or get the reward if you have 3 or less characters in your party when doing the Veldt check. So nice menu optimization there by Nobody War. A speed +2 esper is the reward from the Yeti cave. Not really a great spell on it though, but speed is a pretty nice stat to have because the more turns you could take, the more damage you could do.
Yeah, it looks like Double Down is going to be hot on the heels of Nobody Wars. He is now dipping into Daryl's tomb, and he will find Gao in short order. We haven't seen anybody go over to the Esper Cave yet. Do you think that our racers may have missed that they had starting warp stones?
Well, we are going to see an Esper Cave here from Nobody War. One of the great things about Esper Mountain is that it's a peekable check, so you could see a sprite running onto the screen here in just a second. And if it's a character sprite, then it will be that character as the reward. If it's an NPC sprite like a soldier, then it's either an Esper or an item. So what some runners, like myself included, like to do is save these sort of checks where you could peek what the reward is for later in case you only need one or the other of characters or Espers respectively. Right. And this is a very quick check. As you see, Nobody War is already at the boss, and it is the final boss. Well, sort of the final boss, because let's be honest, Narapa is just a time waste, not actually a boss. But really the final boss of the first half of the game in Atma Weapon here.
Looks like Double Down's going to check a monster in a box. He's probably looking for the offering, but oh, and the reason he's doing that is because he knows where to buy Valiant Knives. So he finds a character that can use them later. He's looking for that offering to pair with some endgame damage strats there. Unfortunately, only finds PM Stalkers, but luckily it's a quick fight, and he can get back to the next boss at hand and get himself a character reward.
Yeah, PM Stalkers are one of the only monster to box battles that actually grant XP and MP. So it's not one I hate to see. Obviously, you would like to see one of the better ones, like Katana Soul, or maybe even Pugs for a chance to drop Minervas, or a Gigantos who's got the best XP per level in the game. But either way, you'll take it. That's an easy fight. And there goes Ultras number 3 on Double Down's screen, and ooh-ow, we've got Gao for both of our players here. Nobody War actually takes the Yeti out of the party because you can't control the Yeti, and you don't want to accidentally smack your reward in the face when on the Veldt. So that's a smart play there.
Certainly, and out of that Esper Mountain check, Nobody will receive the Zone Seek Esper, but he hasn't peeked it yet, so we don't know what spells came on it, but he did find successfully another piece of progress towards that final Kefka objective. Double Down is probably going to be on the lookout for some dried meat now. Oh, yep. Going on a dried meat hunt so that he can follow Nobody War's path here in looking for that next character or esper on the Veldt.
Yeah, so interesting thing to note is that you can only find your reward on the Veldt if you have a normal battle. It can't be a back attack, a side attack, or a pincer attack. So that's, I think, why Nobody War ran away the other time. I thought I might have seen it be a back attack. Meanwhile, Double Down is just saying, forget the Veldt altogether. I'm going to just jump right into the Serpent Trench, which is Gao's other check. And unfortunately, since Nobody War fought since Nobody War fought the White Dragon earlier on in the seed, he's showing up on the Veldt here, and that's not what you want to see.
Certainly not. This happened to me in a recent race, and the White Dragon on the Veldt almost wiped me with that limited party. Trying to make space for that character reward. It's gonna have the full power of the boss, so this could be quite a challenge unless Nobody War can throw enough tech missiles at it to take it down before he gets pearled to death.
Yeah, so just as a comparison here, Flare actually has a battle power of 60 while ignoring magic defense. Tech Missile has a battle power of 58 while ignoring magic defense. So Flare is technically slightly stronger. However, depending upon your caster's magic power, depends on how much the damage output is. Tech Missile will also inflict the sap or seizure status on its target, so it'll also lose HP over time. So it's definitely better. Plus, the animation is much faster, as that's a Fire 3 Esper there for Nobody War at the Veldt.
Yep, Palador brings Fire 3 from that Veldt reward, and Palador is another one of those less desirable Calmness Protection abilities. Casting Palador in battle will cause your entire party to jump off the screen, bringing characters back one at a time to do physical damage against the enemies that are available there. So if you can have 3 of your characters up in the air when that calmness goes off, you can protect those members from that attack. But again, not one of those top tier calmness protections that our races are really looking for.
Yeah, we didn't see a life 3 spell on any of these Espers yet either, right? So that would also work. We'll see where Nobody War decides to go, if he follows Double Down into the Serpent Trench or if he moves on. I usually like to do this 1-2 punch with Gao of World of Balance. You could do the Veldt and then the Serpent Trench right away. You could actually do the Veldt check in the World of Ruin too. It's just, I find it easier to do, sort of a combo where you could do your Veldt check and then you could run right into the Serpent Trench right away. The less amount of time in the airship, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Certainly, and as soon as Double Down gets out of the Serpent Trench, he's going to find himself in Nakia and having some premium shopping available. He'll have all 4 major shop types available to him before he exits out the town, so look for him to be looking for more of those high-tier items. Fortunately, he didn't find the experience egg that Nobody War did, but maybe he can find something else here.
Well, he does find something else in the form of Terra, so there goes the Yeti. In comes the Terra, and I'm assuming that is who is going to be wielding our Ragnarok sword for the duration of this game here, because Terra could equip the Ragnarok sword in the vanilla game. So that's what I assume he's going to be doing. So even though by numbers it looks like Nobody War is actually further ahead with the 5 and 4, since Double Down got Terra earlier and Terra opens up 5 different checks, we're not quite sure if that is, going to crack this game open or not here.
Yeah, Nobody War is hot on Double Down's heels through the Serpent Trench, so he'll be finding Terra himself pretty soon. Terra in this seed looks like she has her vanilla ability of Morph, allowing her to morph into her Esper form and boost her physical and magical damage for the duration of that transformation.
Yeah, you actually do twice as much damage while you're morphed versus unmorphed. So it's an ability that should get used more often than it actually probably does. A lot of people want to save up that morph timer to like the final battles, but even if you use it a few times strategically here and there throughout the run, you'll still have plenty of time in your morph battle timer for the final boss. And given that we've seen all of the other checks prior to Terra checks, that actually is the way forward in the seed with Terra. So
Yeah, I'm certainly guilty of that, holding that golden bullet back with morph. I need to take your advice and use it throughout the seed to increase my speed. We see Double Down going to the treasure room at the sealed gate check here, finding an Imperial camp full of treasure chests, although nothing really of note in this first room. He'll be going through the cave most likely next, where there are several more treasure chests and either a character, esper, or item reward at the very end.
yeah, that was a whole lot of nothing in those 13 chests that are down there. There are 14 chests actually in the cave to the sealed gate. We'll see how many of them he wants to dig out here. Meanwhile, Nobody War heading through the Serpent Trench. It looks like he's just noping out of some of these fights, deciding that it's faster to just run away than to take the battle and get the XP. So that's something interesting that I'll have to ask him about a little bit later. But he is going to get his Terror at the end of the Serpent Trench here, and he'll probably be following Double Down's lead because that loot room is just too good to pass up this early on.
Yeah, very interesting decision, especially with the experience egg equipped. You would think you might want to try maximizing all the experience gain, but it is time consuming, and at the end of the day, this is a race. Your final level doesn't matter if you don't come in first, right?
That's correct. And, enemy XP and MP bonuses, well, not MP, enemy XP and GP bonuses from winning the fight will scale based on your progression too. So maybe he's just saying, well, I'm going to save time now and I'll make it up later by beating more bosses, right? You could always do it that way. That's definitely one strategy to employ, is to get a lot of progression prior to completing a bunch of battles here.
Yeah, and the other way to get a lot of experience is to take those dragon fights, like we saw Nobody War do early on with that Pearl Dragon at the Opera House location. Now, Double Down has found Locke. This is going to be key for him because he knows where Valiant Knives
Ooh.
are for sale. Locke comes with the Shock ability, which is another awesome ability available for the Moogle's first tournament flag set that is not available in our standard race seed. Shock is going to be General Leo's ability from vanilla Final Fantasy VI. It's going to deal non-elemental magic damage to all characters, or sorry, all enemies on the screen.
It's a shock lock, folks. Although I don't think he's going to be doing a lot of shock this seed, given that we have those Valiant Knives for sale, as you mentioned earlier. But shock is great for clearing out enemy mobs. It's based on your magic power, and it does deal non-elemental damage to everything on the screen. So it's great throughout almost the entirety of the race, depending upon what character it's on, obviously. But it's good for clearing things out here, as we see Double Down taking Locke and immediately heading to the world of Ruin Narsh.
Absolutely, and Lock and Terra is the one-two punch that you really love to see in a seed. He's going to choose a reward here from this old man, and whatever he doesn't choose is going to be available behind one of Terra's checks called the Welk. So, oh, look at this. He can go buy a Valiant Knife, complete the Welk check, and then pick up an offering, unlocking offering Valiant Knife lock. That is premium endgame offense available for Double Down.
Yeah, so the offering does allow you to attack 4 times at the penalty of doing half a damage per each attack, but that penalty doesn't apply. Well, it does apply rather to the Valiant Knife, but the Valiant Knife has a special property whereby it adds in a damage multiplier by the amount of HP that you are missing off of your character. So the offering penalty is not nearly as severe as it would be with other items. So that's why the offering is a good 1-2 punch desired with something like a Valiant Knife here. And as you said, he did pick up the Magicite because he knows he can go get an offering at any time by completing Terra's Welk check. So that was a good choice there to take the Esper, at the moment because he needs espers. He's got 6 characters, and so does Nobody War now with recruiting lock at the end of the sealed gate cave. I think that we're going to also see a similar routing where Nobody War is going to head straight over to World of Ruin, Narsh, and we're going to do that basically to check what the curse shield count is. I think it was 15, was it?
I definitely saw a 5. I couldn't tell if it was 5 or 15. 15 is a little high for this late in the seed. If it was 5, I imagine our racers would want to uncurse it to unlock that Ultima spell. Might not be enough time if it was 15 and an Ultima at something like a 1% learning rate.
Yeah, so the curse shield in the vanilla game, it's 255 battles to uncurse, and that's never going to happen during during a speed run race of this type. So we crank that number down to a random between, I think you said 1 and 16 earlier. So unfortunately, we ended up on the longer side of the scaling there. I don't think we're going to see anybody try to uncurse that shield, even though I think both of our runners picked up ribbons at some point, which would negate many of the nasty status ailments that the curse shield does bring when you're equipping it. However, it also gives you the worst stats in the game, and that is Celeste at the Veldt gate. Now, Double Down already has 6 characters, so he could reset out of this if he wanted to, but he really wants that offering, so he's definitely going to take this here.
Absolutely. And recruiting his 7th character puts the Kefka Tower skip into play for Double Down. If he recruits 2 additional characters after Celeste here, he'll have 9, and that unlocks a bypass of the normal Kefka's Tower walk, which is 1 boss and about 4 to 5 minutes of walking. And he gets to teleport directly to the final 3 statues, plus the Guardian spot. So he gets to warp to the end of that tower and just get a head start on there as a kind of catch-up mechanism for finding those additional requirements.
Yep, and there we see Celeste actually has Rage, which in Worlds Collide, you don't have to go to the Veldt to use Leap. You actually learn the Rage of any enemies you just defeat in battle right then and there, and you'll be able to use it for the next battle. Unfortunately, it means your character is berserked, and I think we already have our team pretty much set with our Valiant Knife now offering lock, our Ragnarok Terror, our Magitek Realm, and our Lore Setzer here.
Yeah, Setzer's really the only one that isn't quite an ace right now. Magitek Realm is good to go from start to finish. Ragnarok Terra with a gauntlet is going to be doing some pretty hefty damage, especially with flare procs. Valiant Knife Lock is one of the best offenses in Worlds Collide, which Double Down appears to be going to purchase right now. Setzer is going to be looking for some maybe tier 3 magic. Unfortunately, Double Down did not complete the Veldt check, and he did not find that Fire 3 Esper in Palador that Nobody War found. But it looks like right now he's going to go check the Figaro basement prisoner check where Celeste is normally imprisoned in vanilla Final Fantasy VI, and he finds his 8th character in Gogo, getting him one step closer to that KT skip we were just talking about. So, Schwantz, if you're in Double Down's position with 8 characters and 4 espers, where are you taking this?
I am just going to do as many Esper only checks as possible here, right? The Search Disguise, which Double Down has not done, is definitely either an Esper or an item. Magitek Factory 1 and 2 are only Esper items, and let's see. So Celeste can equip the Valiant Knife, so maybe he buys one for Locke and one for Celeste and swaps out Setzer. We'll have to see what his plan is here, but Nobody War is buying a bunch of enhancers, which is smart. That increases your magic power by +7 on whomever can equip it. But going back to your question, definitely would favor those either Esper or item heavy checks. And with the set of characters we have now, there's a few of them that we could definitely do. I would also favor very quick checks, right? Ones that you can get over with very quick, even if I can't peak the reward.
Yeah, I asked the question, but as I was thinking about it, there's really only one right answer, and it's Magitek for the bangin' tunes.
Yeah, yep. Well, I mean, if we're going, routing based on music alone, then it becomes quite obvious, right? So, although I do love the theme that happens in Mobilis after you defeat, the boss there, like it's the Terra theme, but it's like a sadder version of it. I don't know, for whatever reason, it gets me right in the feels, man.
Yeah, it certainly does. Double Down did pick up 2 Valiant Knives. Let's see if he swaps in Celeste into the party. That'll he only has one offering, but he can still look for some more maybe if he comes up on some other monsters in boxes. Um, yeah, looks like Setzer's on the bench for now. So we're gonna have a Ragnarok, 2 Valiant Knife users, and Magitek as his final offense.
Yeah, and don't forget, we also did find a Genji glove in the bottom of the South Figaro basement. So I'm guessing, he's just going straight up Genji glove offering. Okay, I was going to say spread it out. You know, have one person do one Valiant Knife and offering, and have a second person do Genji glove Valiant Knife. As we see, Nobody War resetting out of the Welk check. Now, remember, he hasn't gone to the World of Ruin Narsh to go check what the lock item is. And oh no, I think he took a reset and he forgot to save after doing the Serpent Trench. So
Oh no!
yeah,
Oh,
that's
how
not good.
unfortunate.
He's back down to 4 characters available and 5 espers available, I think. So yeah, you hate to see that happen.
Yeah, I lose a lot of time every run over saving, but there's certainly something to be said for saving early and saving often, as is taught in our Moogle's First Seed training video that you can check out if you go to ff6wc.com. Check out our Moogle's First Seed training video if you're new to the series and you want to get involved in Worlds Collide. There's also a channel in our Discord where you can check that out. Um, you know what? It's not over. Nobody War can come back from this. He's got a lot of checks available, and certainly anything can happen in this randomizer. But this is going to set him back quite a bit with Double Down looking for those final espers in Magitek and trying to seal the deal, getting himself into Kefka's tower.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. It means he's going to have to make some different, more risky decisions, right? He knows where Terra is, he knows where Locke is. You know, there are several checks of Terras that we haven't seen yet. We haven't seen Zozo, we haven't seen Leet River. Can't believe I almost said that out loud. But we do see Mage Master over on Double Down screen, and this is going to be an interesting fight here.
Yeah, Double Down didn't find Berserk, which is the way that you can basically cheese out this fight. But he does have lots of non sources of non-elemental damage with the Magitek, the Valiant Knives. If he can hit, of course, Mage Master is notoriously difficult to get a hit on. One thing that we didn't really consider when looking at his Valiant Knife setup was that Locke does come with Shock, and it looks like he's going to put the double Valiant Knife on Celeste and rely on Shock Lock for that non-elemental magic damage.
The chat loved it, so we're going to love it even more. The Shock Lock, here we go. So Mage Master will, every time he gets damage, change his elemental weakness. He will nullify 6 elements, will absorb 1 element, and will be weak to 1 element. So we want non-elemental damage. We could also do defense ignoring damage with the Valiant Knife because he has very high physical defense and also very high physical evade. The problem is he just throws spells at you like it's nobody's business. You know, it's like Billy Mays, but wait, there is more spells.
Oh, we're getting really close to a party wipe here. So, like we said, it is still anybody's game with nobody but Terra alive right now. He's trying to get Celeste up. If he can, Celeste is going to revive with very little HP left and hopefully take advantage of the Valiant Knife missing health damage bonus with the 8 swings of the Valiant Knife Genji Glove offering combo.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard to do this because Mage Master, his script, and there's Doom. Whoo! There's a miss. Thank goodness. I did my Denzel Washington impression there. But Mage Master will cast 2 spells per turn on most turns. There are a couple of times in his script that he will only cast 1 spell per turn. And he also will cast Doom every once in a while, too. So even if you have elemental protection, you could still get knocked on your butt by Mage Master. The programmers of this game knew what they were doing when they had this boss, and it looks like Double Down
F's in the chat
is taking a wipe. So remember when I said let's rush Esper checks? Maybe that was a bad idea. So Magitek Factory, best music, worst boss right now.
He's going right back at him though. Double Down knows what he's
There's
up
no
against,
fear.
and he's gonna go do it. A lot of times, knowing what you're in for can allow you to better gear or prepare for this fight. I don't know what elemental protections he has available. We have seen a Blizzard Orb floating around. Um, Maybe he's just gonna go at it again and prioritize Celeste's Octo Valiant Knife attack. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, so this will be now that he knows what's here. Oh, there's a fixed dice in the chest as well. So that is non-elemental and well, of course it is. They're dice. They're not elemental, but that is defense ignoring weaponry right there. So even if it's not the fastest thing to kill Mage Master, it still would work on some of our characters that might be magic based. Terra's Ragnarok is not going to do much in this battle, so maybe she, if she can, equip those fixed dice. But it looks like Double Down is just saying, you know what, I got very unlucky by my first go, and he's getting a preemptive here. So he's at least going to do several rounds of damage before Mage Master even knows what hits him.
Yep, looks like he's just going to prioritize the top damage dealers there in Realm with the Tech Missile and Celeste with the Octo Valiant Knife. He's going to be doing some weight tricking. When you're in a menu, the enemy's ATB, essentially their battle timer, doesn't advance. So you can try to take advantage of maximizing your attack time and minimizing the enemy's attack time.
Yeah, so Double Down is actually throwing Celeste in the front row. So the Valiant Knife does do half damage if you're in the back row. So he's smartly recognized that as something he needed to correct. And he will now do twice as much damage. So he was doing like 250 a swing. So he's going to start doing 500 a swing. And 500 times 8. I know I was told there'd be no math on stream. That's a lot of damage.
It's going to be about 4,000 damage.
That's another infomercial Phil Swift catchphrase, right? There we go. So about 1,100 damage a swing. This should be the end of Mage Master now.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where you don't care if one of your characters is down. You're just happy to be done with Mage Master and moving on through the seed.
Yeah, you also do pick up a Mega Elixir, which is something that you want to save for sort of the end battles. It's great to have for Final Kefka, because Final Kefka will cast the Fallen One spell, which reduces all of your characters to 1 HP, so that's great to have in a pinch. Nobody War, meanwhile, going back and grabbing both Terra and Locke, so that was a little bit of a time waste there. But we'll see what he decides to do, and he's going to go right back to Welk here. Hopefully, he is not going to reset and lose his progress going forward. But I don't know if he'll be happy to see Celeste with already having 6 characters, or maybe he knows that Celeste is there and is not going to do it. So we'll see. Meanwhile, Double Down is at the second part of the Magitek Factory, and this can be only esper item. And the boss is Vargas, and the Apple Toilets, the iPoos.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Nobody War goes and checks that Narsh World of Ruin check opened up by Locke, and if he gets the information that the offering is available behind that Welk check, he might be a little bit more tempted to take it. Although probably feeling a little bit behind in time now because of that save issue. He may not want to take that character check.
Yeah, it does take a short amount of time, but again, it looks like he's gearing up for it because he's buying a red cap, which does actually increase your HP by a quarter. Muscle Belt increases it by half, though. You actually cannot stack the red cap and Muscle Belt. It's either one or the other. So we'll see what he goes with there. And unfortunately, it's a dead check for Double Down. That's a gem box, but he's going through with Magitek 3. This is an interesting call here with all of the checks that he has available to him. But he decides, I'm going to go for Magitek number 3, the third part of this 3-part Celeste check. It is a guaranteed progression, so it's either a character or an esper.
Yeah, now Double Down in this third part of the Magitek Factory check is going to have a lot of random encounter of normal normal enemies followed by 2 bosses. He will be allowed to save after the first boss and before the second boss, um, but that's going to be before getting the reward that Schwantz mentioned. Okay, Nobody War is jumping over to the World of Ruin. I'm wondering if he's going to head over to Narsh, and indeed he is. So he's going to go get that Esper that Double Down picked up earlier, and then he's going to have that information that the offering is available behind the Wilk check. So if it was me, I might be tempted to go grab that. Offering can pair with Valiant Knife, and especially if Nobody War saw what Double Down did of those Valiant Knives for sale in South Figaro, I imagine he will do it, with Locke being a guaranteed equipper of the Valiant Knife. Okay, question for chat. Is this even randomized? Because we see mag rotors here in the Magitek 3 check. Okay, we've got Celeste tearing through with the Octo Valiant Knife. Double Down making his way through the train. Unfortunately, there's storms rolling through, and Schwantz got disconnected, but he'll be back shortly. Um, Here we've got Nobody War going up to the top of Narsh Mountain. He's going to go look for that Ice Dragon spot and take on Tritalk, looking for that Esper item reward that we saw Double Down take on earlier. And there's the Storm Dragon, weak to lightning, but with all the offense that Nobody War has available to him, I imagine he's just going to cut right through it. So he's got Shock Lock. That'll do a little bit of damage. Oh, unfortunately, he got taken out. And Double Down has found Fun Bobby, Foon Baba himself, at the end of the train. Foon Baba's going to be throwing out some lightning attacks and has just a ton of HP, but it shouldn't be anything that Double Down's team can't handle. Nobody War, though, having some difficulty with the Storm Dragon. Storm Dragon led in with an attack that deals percentage-based damage, reduced Locke and Setzer to very low health, and then took them out. All right, so as Double Down comes out of this Funbaba fight, you'll see exactly why he chose Magitek 3. This is his favorite part of the entire game here, as this train crashes into that poor Magitek soldier and knocks him into oblivion. F's in the chat for the Magitek soldier. Double Down finds the Shoat Esper. That'll cast a break spell if used in combat, so that can provide some instant death on tier 1 of the final Kefka fight. We'll have to wait a little bit to see what spells are on it, as Celeste just repeatedly smacks Kefka in the face, a preview of what's to come later in Kefka's tower. Looks like Nobody War took down the Storm Dragon, got his Economizer reward, and taught Fire 3 to someone. So he's just increasing in power and levels there. Of course, those dragons giving a lot of XP and magic points for your party. Double Down's going to go try to find a discount in Zen, but he's going to find out it's only about a 3,000 gil discount. So not going to save that much money, but he will pick up his 6th Esper. Not enough money. Hopefully he's got enough after spending 100,000 on a pair of Valiant Knives. I anticipate seeing him sell those fixed dice there for a cool 25k. Gem box is going to go. That is frequently sold by racers because X Magic, although extremely powerful, is slow, and speed is of the essence in these Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide racing competitions. Okay, Double Down is now sitting on 8 characters and 5 espers. He's going to search the skies, and we already know that this is going to be the Flame Eater boss and reward an esper. That'll put him at 8 characters and 6 espers, needing one more character for a KT skip, and after this, 3 more espers in order to unlock the final battle. Meanwhile, Nobody Wars sit on 6 characters and 5 espers. So although it looks like Double Down might be in the lead, they're basically tied right now unless Double Down gets that skip, because having 7 or 8 characters is of no benefit in terms of final battle unlocking. Double Down takes down the Flame Eater. He'll get his 6th Esper. And Nobody War is finding Dullahan at the top of Narsh Mountain in the Tritox spot. Believe that is also going to net him his 6th Esper. So really, our racers are fairly neck and neck, despite having a couple setbacks in that the Mage Master wipe and the reset without a save point. 55 minutes into the race, they're still neck and neck, and it is anybody's race. This is exciting. This is what we love to see. Double Down's going to go for the South Figaro Cave check, opened up by Locke. That's a real quick one, and it will be a boss at the end of the cave where he can find another character, esper, or item if it's unfortunately a dead check and no character or esper is there. Welcome back, Schwantz. What you have here is basically two racers neck and neck, and we're coming down to the wire.
Very nice. Yeah. So apparently, the real final boss of the game is the storm out here in New York. So that was fun. Yeah, I'm just going to catch up on the tracking a little bit, and I'll be back in a second.
Sure. We saw Double Down get an esper at Magitek 3, and as well as take out the Search the Skies check for another esper. And Nobody War took out the Storm Dragon at the top of Narsh, and then the Tritox bot finding himself another esper. And it looks like he's going to get that Umaro Yeti Cave esper if he's able to take down this boss. Double Down finds Poltergeist, Spicy Chicken as he's known. Spicy Chicken's in the chat if you got him. Poltergeist is one of the final 3 bosses of the game before the final Kefka fight, and he can do some nasty damage, especially with the Flare Star spell. He's vulnerable to stop, but I don't know that that's available to our racers. I think Double Down is just going to try to overpower him and press through.
Yeah, stop would be great here. It's one of the only status elements that Poltergeist is weak to. He has very high both physical and magic defense, absorbs fire and wind. So Merton definitely doesn't work on him. But that 8 Valiant Knife Celeste can sure cut him into ribbons, and Ifrit is down for Nobody War as well. I've just updated the tracking, and that's accurate. So we got 8 and 8 for Double Down and 6 and 8 for Nobody War. We're just looking for our last piece of Magicite for each person here.
Wouldn't you know it, Double Down not only gets a dead check with another red cap, but he learns stop during the Poltergeist fight. Isn't that always how it goes?
Oh man, that is some sort of awful there. One thing you can do, because Poltergeist also casts stop, is you can actually put on either a wall ring or cast reflect on yourself, and that's hilarious because you can just do the DJ Khaled, congratulations, you just played yourself. And we're going to see Nobody War find out what the kids don't want us to take away here at the World of Ruin Mobilis. And it's a Force Shield. Sorry, kiddo, we're not taking Force Shield away. And that means Nobody War has got to go find another check to find his last Esper. Remember, the Tizen Thief is selling a Esper at around $50,000 in both worlds. We do have auction house available, right? There are glowing stones available in the auction house. So we could see if one of the two decide to go to either one of those spots there. I don't know what our money situation looks like, but Nobody War is heading to the South Figaro Cave, which is one of Locke's checks. We can't peek this check, and it can be either a character or an Esper or an item, but it's a very quick one.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is just going to be a red cap like we saw on Double Down's screen.
Okay.
We know that Double Down previously peaked the auction house, so he's aware that glowing stones are available, but Nobody War did not, at least not that I saw, so it would be a random guess if he chooses to go there. Nobody War is really only looking for that next Esper, whereas Double Down kind of wants an Esper and a character if he can get them quick. Double Down did already take care of the Zen Thief and bought that one, so that's not available, although that's a great fast option.
Yeah, it looks like Double Down is taking himself a little bit of a bathroom break here, allowing uh, allowing Nobody War to catch up. Very noble of him here. But even though Double Down has two extra characters, like I said, it is nobody's race here, or anybody's race.
Yeah.
Nobody, anybody, same thing. Um, when you got to go, you got to go. Unfortunately, this fire is going to heal Spicy for a lot. You don't want to do that. Flare is one of the spells that will work against Spicy Chicken. Like I said, he's got very high magic defense, and Flare ignores magic defense. So even though it's a very long spell animation, sometimes it's worth pulling it out on certain bosses, and this is one of the bosses that it's worth pulling it out on. Oof.
All right, Double Down is back, and he's about to find out that it is a soldier sprite here, meaning that it's only an item or an esper. He's going to choose to press on, and he will be rewarded with that esper here, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was an esper here. So he will be in go mode after he defeats Atma Weapon, I believe, is the boss here.
Yeah, and I'm partial to the skip myself, but I know that Double Down is not as high on it as I am. With the checks available to Double Down, are you doing some more peeking? Are you gonna go look at Mobley's? Are you gonna go do some other snooping, or are you just getting into KT's tower and going?
Yeah, so I'm going to be sneaky and look on his stream to see his tracker and see what checks he has not done yet. The one that jumps out at me is World of Ruin Mobliz. It's an easy one that you can go peek. But other than that, the checks that he has remaining are Phoenix Cave, yuck. Leet River, yuck. Opera House, yuck, unless you do it very early in a seed. And Zozo, which you can't peek, but also kind of yuck. And the Veldt, which is guaranteed to be either a character or an esper. So I might do one of those two. I might do peek this Mobliz one, and then I might go peek the Veldt. Unfortunately, neither one of those are characters, so we're going to be stuck with Double Down doing just the regular and not the skip. I don't think.
Yeah, and that seems to be his best option, knowing everything that we know. But a Mobley's peak would be a great play right now, and it looks like he's going for it. As soon as he sees that it's a force shield, the correct play is probably to go into KT because there are no other peekable checks available that could yield a character. Zozo would probably be the fastest check available that could yield a character, but like you said, it's not peekable. It's a long walk. And it's not something that you want to be doing because you could be spending that time in KT's tower. The KT tower skip is worth about 4 minutes of walking plus one boss fight. So you can call that anywhere between, say, 5 to 6 minutes of time. If you're spending 5 minutes looking through checks for that skip, you've just lost all that time that you're trying to gain, and you could have just gotten into the tower and moved forward.
All right, so hopefully you guys can hear the game audio now. I made some changes with some beepity bops here, and hopefully that works. And it looks like you're absolutely right. Double Down. Looks like he's setting up his party to go in because I don't think he reduced it to 3 characters. Did he? I don't think he did. No.
No, he's setting up for Final Kefka, and now we're going to have that calmness protection debate or discussion that I was referencing earlier. So we never found the top tier calmness protection in Golem or Fenrir. We don't have Life 3 available, which would be the next preference. So he's going to have to do some extreme damage counting during the tier 3 of the final Kefka battle and hopefully use a phantom strat to make his party invisible. It's a little bit risky, but with Celeste and the Octo Valiant Knives, it's definitely doable and in play.
Yeah, so Phantom, when we get there, it basically turns your party invisible using the clear status. which means physical attacks cannot hurt you, but magical attacks will always hit you. And one of the counters or attack moves that this part of the final boss does is a spell called Meteo, which is devastatingly powerful, but it's very inaccurate. But by casting Phantom on yourself, you make it 100% accurate. So it's definitely a risk reward, and we'll see if one of our runners can pull it off here. Meanwhile, we are at the top of Mount or regular Zozo, and it is leader. So we'll see what this particular check brings. This is new information here. Leader is a pushover. Is susceptible to instant death if we had it, but I don't think we do.
There are a couple espers available that can do instant death. I thought I saw an Odin. There's the Ragnarok esper for Nobody War. So Nobody War is going to be joining Double Down in Kefka's Tower, just maybe 60 seconds behind or so. So we're going to have a tight race at the end, despite Double Down collecting those extra checks and extra characters. It's still anybody's race.
Yeah, awesome. Let's see what Double Down fights here at the Inferno spot, and it is my favorite punk band, Rizopus and the Piranhas. In the vanilla game, this is a bathroom break, so maybe Double Down should have saved his bathroom break until this fight, but, sometimes you can't hold it. However, in Worlds Collide, Rizopus comes out after 5 to 55 seconds, and it always seems like the 55 instead of the 5 whenever I'm playing here.
Certainly, I got to agree with you there. So our racers are splitting their party into 3. There are 3 separate paths that you have to go through Kefka's Tower to reach the end. Each party will have to navigate to and hit some switches. You see the third party there has to encounter a boss. We refer to that as the Inferno spot because that's where Inferno is in vanilla Final Fantasy VI. And then the parties will switch off and hit all these switches that will get them to the final statue places, which is where the KT skip would teleport you to instantly should you get those 9 characters or 12 espers.
So Nobody War, interestingly, decided that Gao is better off driving the airship than being the second person in this party here. No love for Gao from Nobody War here in the race, but I mean he's got Realm here with an experience egg, so this is going to be cruising here because Realm can basically one-shot anything with Tech Missile. Unfortunately, this is a battle where you're going to want to have more than one character because these Piranhas can actually hit pretty hard with their special. It does 8 times what a normal attack would do if you do Bite. So we'll see how he handles this, and thankfully it's a short Rizopus fight here.
Yeah, Nobody War got very lucky on this short Rizopus timer, and that is going to do a lot to catch him up to Double Down as soon as he gets out of this boss fight. So we're looking at a split of maybe 60 seconds between our racers right now. This is really exciting, and it is coming down to the wire.
Yeah, it is a 1 minute difference between the two of them. So now we have to talk about, well, what does each of the runners, what does their offense bring to the table? And obviously with Celeste and the 8 Valiant Knife attack that Nobody War does not have, because remember, he does not have Celeste. That might put Double Down over the top here, even though Nobody War has a humongous amount of levels on his realm. I don't know if Nobody War's Double Down's levels are that high.
Yeah, Nobody War has the level advantage. He also has that Tier 3 Magic and Fire 3 available that Double Down never found. That'll come into play in Tier 1 when one of the pieces, specifically the head, is weak to Fire Magic. So I wouldn't count out Nobody War, although if I had to give a tilt one way or the other, Double Down probably does have the offensive advantage. Although Valiant Knife, especially Double Valiant Knife, does come with its risks of low defense and wanting to toe the line on as little health as possible.
Yeah, and with the way the mechanics work of the final battle, you actually, if you die in between tiers, you can't bring that member with you to the next tier in order to get revived. They actually will sub somebody off the bench, and in vanilla that's not a bad idea because you have a whole bunch of characters, but in Worlds Collide you really only beef up 4 characters at a time. You stick with one main party and just go with it, right? So that might be a risk. And as you mentioned, there really isn't calmness protection that we have, and that's sort of the great equalizer, right? If Double Down gets calmness on 2 of his characters and Nobody War gets a block on calmness, right, then it's a 4-party versus 2-party final battle, and that tells a completely different story.
Yeah, Double Down taking some revenge on the Mage Master family, taking out his little brother, number 24. I'm sure he's happy to see him there and not the more powerful Mage Master. Unfortunately, like he found in the Magitek Factory. But that was an important fight for Double Down. It unlocks a save point and prevents him from having to do all that running again, no matter what happens in the next couple fights. Look for him to check the meme chest right here. He receives his final Phoenix down as he takes on another one of those statue spots, and he finds Senior Behemoth. Senior Behemoth is a 2-phase fight. First phase weak to fire, and among Pearl and maybe some other things. Second phase, vulnerable to instant death if it's available, but as Schwantz mentioned, I'm not sure that any instant death is other than Esper casts.
Well, one of the interesting flags that's actually on in this particular tournament is the Undead Bosses flag. So you're allowed to kill bosses with the Phoenix down, and this would be one of the 3 bosses that you actually could just throw either a Phoenix down or a Revivify on, and it will just fade away and disappear. So you can certainly pull that out in a pinch there. Obviously, Double Down took care of it very, very quickly anyway, and it didn't matter. But just for reference, Haydn and Phantom Train, or Ghost Train rather, and the second phase of Super Behemoth there are instant or undead bosses.
Excellent recall there. We were talking about that before the race, and maybe that meme chest wasn't a meme. Maybe it was that final piece of the puzzle to unlock that statue position, give you the item you need to instantly kill phase 2 of that fight.
The also good thing about Behemoth there is you get the Behemoth suit, which, as we mentioned, is Realm's best piece of armor in the game. So that's going on Realm straight away if we hadn't already bought one. Meanwhile, Nobody War is just at the statues here. Really, unfortunately, without having that second Moogle Charm, that second character that's basically a Moogle Charm Sherpa, if you will, for this Kefka Tower trek, he's accidentally running into some encounters here, and it's Niles and Frazier the Cranes over on Double Down's screen, and it looks like he's giving his team the business though.
Yeah, you mentioned the decision to leave Gao behind before. Gao is not a desirable character, but having the Moogle Charm dedicated is a big advantage. I believe that was the second time that Nobody War had to take a random encounter because of forgetting to re-equip the Moogle Charm between fights. There's a lot of menuing and management that goes on when you choose to solo a party down Kefka's Tower.
Yeah, and that was a scary moment there with getting Overflow, which will confuse and muddle one of your characters there on Realm. But thankfully, Realm snapped out of it right away and could take down. But Mom, we have Mage Master at home.
Yeah, there are actually a number of scary status effects when you have a solo party. There are some bosses who can petrify you, which will instantly kill you. They can turn you into a zombie. They can confuse you, like we just saw, and you could kill yourself. It's a big risk taking a solo party because even with a weak character can use items like Phoenix Downs to bring characters back, use status restoring items like Revivifies or Softs to get rid of the zombie or Petrify status. Going solo, it's brave, but it has a lot of challenges.
And we see the Opera House Ultros. That's Ultros number 2 here on Double Down screen. And Gogo is allowed to mimic anything that you do, including Magitek. You actually can't equip Magitek to Gogo's list of commands in the status menu. But you could certainly mimic it. And oof! Looks like Gogo is not having octopus tonight for dinner.
I think Uncle Ulti wasn't having any of Goko's tech missile, but he will take it from Realm as Realm takes him out and will clear that statue path for one of the final switches.
Yeah, so I think Double Down now is at the point where he's ready to fight Final Kefka. Nobody War is nipping at his heels. He's got 2 of the 4 bosses down, so this is going to be a nail biter going into the final battle here. He's just got to step on the switches, I think, right? Yeah, okay. I was curious to see why why nobody was up there already. Meanwhile, again, with the Moogle Charm shenanigans, running into a random encounter and unfortunately getting health cut in half. That's something you never want to see.
Yeah, now Double Down, having activated all 3 switches after clearing those statue bosses, is going to start the final phase of Final Kefka by selecting his party. He can select as many party members as he wants, but only the first 4 are going to start the battle. If any die between phases and are unable to be revived, the next character in the list will come down. If he chooses to only select 4, it'll just be random selection of the remaining characters available.
Yeah, so just for reference, that was a 10-minute and 15-second, according to my timer, Kefka's Tower. So pretty fast work from Double Down. That's an excellent tower climb time. To piggyback based on what you said, the person who's in the 4th slot is actually the person who gets to go first on tiers 2 through 4. So usually you're going to want to have that player in slot 4 be your instant death caster, which Realm has esper as one of the technical abilities. So that means you can instant death tier 2 and also on tier 1 here. 3 different parts, mostly physical damage. Head was weak to fire, as Magre mentioned, and will death counter with quake. So we want to have the head up and kill it first or second. And with a Valiant Knife and Offering, we can't target where the damage is, so we have to be a little careful here.
Yeah, Final Kefka is a very scripted fight, or at least a very static strategy fight, having 4 different tiers. As we've been talking about, this first tier, that arm that we call long arm on the left part of the screen is susceptible to instant death. The face here is weak to fire, and then that short arm on the center or rightmost part of the screen has no notable weaknesses, water being not a very common spell in Final Fantasy VI. Double Down clears tier 1 and comes to tier 2 with 4 different enemies here. Schwantz, what's the trick to tier 2?
So on tier number 2, there are 4 different parts. The Tiger, which is on the bottom right, is weak to ice and will deal all sorts of nasty status effects and spells to your team. So that's the one you're going to want to target to die first. You can instant death tools in the middle that just cast Diffuser, and you could actually mute magic all the way on the left to basically neutralize magic, because as the name implies, magic only casts spells, but is susceptible to mute hilariously, so it's basically nullified. And the blue man is part number 4 and will death counter with 10 physical hits. So usually runners will keep hit for either last or second to last, depending upon what we do with magic. If we have mute, then magic is not a big deal, so we save magic for last. But again, we have Celeste with untargetable 8 Valiant Knife damage, and it looks like we're doing like 13,000 per turn, spread out over multiple targets, though, of course, and it's pretty crazy. Kirgzy's asking, is multi-summon on? I believe, Magre, you said yes earlier.
That is correct. Multi-summon is on, so if we're going to try to use the Phantom strat, if something goes wrong, it's mistimed, and the party gets hit by a Meteor, that will nullify that invisible status, but you could just cast it again. Unfortunately, that is a big change from our standard race flags, and if our racers didn't notice it, it won't come across their thoughts.
Yeah, so Double Down gets frozen by Tiger, and remember I said nasty status things? That's certainly one of them there. The only way to unfreeze your party is to either wait for an exorbitant amount of time, or to actually cast fire on your entire party, and thankfully Locke knew a fire spell. Otherwise, that could have been a waiting game disaster there.
Yeah, one of the downsides to doing that untargetable or AoE damage like Celeste is right now is that you're lowering the damage or the health pool of all the different components or enemies, and they tend to get nastier as they get closer to death. Tiger, in particular, will start attacking more often and with nastier abilities as he gets closer to death.
So one thing we could do with multi-summon on is we could actually use Phantom to sort of bypass the 10 hits death counter, which is I think what Double Down is going for here, because basically that just means that your 10 hits will miss all of your targets and it'll take much shorter to go through the 10 hits than having the long animation just play out every single time. Unfortunately, that was a bit of a missed time there, and he got flare starred, and he's going to get 10 hits here now anyway. When you get magic cast on you, when you're in clear or invisible status, it actually reverts you back to normal status. So unfortunately, that's a womp womp for that use of Phantom there.
Celeste hanging on for dear life, blocks multiple hits, and will survive into tier 3. So no matter what happens with this opening salvo from Girl and Sleep, as they're known, if Celeste is to die to, say, an immediate Merton, she can be revived now. She's not going to get left behind in tier 2, and that is great news for Double Down.
Meanwhile, Nobody War using the tier 3 fire spell to great effect on his particular boss battle here. Already has Long Arm dead, and I think Head is just about to go down as well. Unfortunately, an opening Merton sort of says nope to 3/4 of Double Down's party here, so this is going to be a slow climb out of this hole.
Oh no, I felt like I hit him with a commentator curse right there. I called it.
Yeah, this is rough. He does have 11 Phoenix Downs, thank goodness. That's something you never want to see, is somebody, not having Phoenix Downs. But Phoenix Downs only revives your health to, I think, 3/8 of what it normally is. So another Merton here is going to mean that Terra is down again, and his lock is on the verge of going down, so he's going to need to heal lock before doing anything else. This is really rough to try and dig out of a hole. Meanwhile, Nobody War is just about done with tier number 1 here.
Yeah, without finding any elemental protection, that Merton is really doing a lot of damage. The trick to tier 3 in general is to take down Girl, that floating head in the back. She has quad 9s, or 9,999 HP. Oh, another Merton. This is a particularly bad tier 3 right now. Yeah, you want to take out that Girl because she is going to heal both of them, and is immune to all elements. So once Celeste gets up, it's going to probably be her job to take out Girl.
Yeah, so he does have the Phoenix Esper, which will revive your entire party. And so it's a good thing that he remembered that it's on Celeste. So now Celeste can use that Phoenix magic, and it actually revives your party for more than a Phoenix Down does. You see, Terra has 935 health, but with a Phoenix Down was only in the 500s, and the 1-2 punch of Phoenix plus Cure 3 means that Double Down is back and ready to go. But that is a huge time loss here, and might allow Nobody War to catch up.
Yeah, it looks like we've stabilized now. Pending the results of this whirlwind coming in, it's going to do another fractional damage attack. Won't kill, but Celestin Realm definitely lost a lot of health there. If he can get another Cure 3 off, he can stabilize again and hopefully get out of this pretty challenging Tier 3.
Yeah, unfortunately, Locke is out of magic, so he can't be the one doing it. But we do have Heal Force, which is a single target cure in the Magitek family. And with Celeste having lower HP than the rest, it looks like she is just going to come out and smack for 4,000 times 8. What is that? 32k right there in that one turn, and the clutch block as well from Celeste. 2 clutch blocks from Celeste on 2 different tiers, and we are going on to Final Kefka here.
Yeah, now Final Kefka on Tier 4, when he takes his first turn, unless Double Down does a certain amount of damage, is going to open up with something called Fallen One. It's going to reduce the entire party to just 1 health. Popular strategy for a V-Knife user is to wait for that attack to maximize the damage that the Valiant Knife will use. Although the difference between 1 health and 114 is not that much, I anticipate an early swing from Celeste, pushing him past that phase and into the next phase of battle.
Yeah, so if Kefka gets under 30,000 or so HP after the first turn, he will not use Fallen One. And as you said, I anticipate he's going to go below that threshold, which means he'll start countering with things like Havoc Wing and Hyperdrive before charging up for Goner, in which there is no counter attacks. But yeah, Hyperdrive going right after Celeste here. Terra is still morphed, so she'll be doing double damage every single turn that she takes here, and that's Realm with another dead Realm. But it is important to remember that there is a morph glitch. If you stay morphed in between tier transitions in the final battle, you will be permamorphed. So even though the timer will count down here on Terra, you'll see that she will stay morphed the entire time, which is an interesting use of the morph command here from Double Down.
Now, Kefka is charging up an ability called Goner, and during this charge, he will not counter any attacks. And GG, Double Down does it. He takes out Kefka at 125-24. Excellent job with that top-tier offense, and Double Down is the first racer to take down the clown.
Very, very nice. Awesome job there from Double Down. We're going to see if we can get him in for an interview, and in the meantime, we'll switch over to Double Down. I don't know if you could hear his audio. I did try and bump it up, so we'll see if that works.
Yeah, so Nobody War made it through Tier 1. He was leaning on that Fire 3 spell. Now he's dealing with all those nasty status effects in Tier 2. It looks like he's going to go for a Phantom trick, going for the Fader, like we mentioned earlier, hopefully to avoid those 10 hits. As long as no spells come in, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, being that 2 of his characters are poisoned here is not going to be very fun, but he's got tons of HP, willing to be a ShamWow and absorb all of these hits from our blue man. But speaking of absorbing, I don't know. We have Double Down here in the booth, absorbing Mertens in Tier 3. GG's on your excellent recovery
GG.
and your on-stream win tonight.
Speaking of absorbing, that's a new one. I like it a lot. Yeah, thank you. That was a little spooky for a bit there, wasn't it?
Heads up play, reviving Celeste and using the Phoenix Esper. Were you thinking about that ahead of time?
Yeah, so I was thinking about it when I put Phoenix on her originally, and then the moment I got in there, I was thinking that seeing as she wanted to sit at low HP, she was the worst person to have Phoenix. And then about halfway through my little Tier 3 panic, I realized that, oh yeah, she has Phoenix, multi-summons, and I remembered that in, Tier 1, like everybody always does in these sort of seeds with multi-summons. So yeah, picked her up and got the Phoenix off, and luckily the Merton spam stopped. I was just waiting for Sleep to do W Wind or Condemned or anything but Merton, and he finally relented.
That was pretty rough, and you had a couple close calls too. You mentioned Celeste wanted to camp out at that low HP. She nearly bit it at both the end of Tier 2 and Tier 3. Were you holding your breath a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, Tier 2, I kind of miscalculated. Things got away from me a little bit. I planned on reapplying Phantom, and then I just did more damage faster than I was expecting to, and we got through Tier 2. And then Tier 3, again, I was planning on Phantoming for Communist Protection. A little more awkward to do it with Celeste doing her attack. I would have had to time it off of either Terra or Tech Missile Girl. So I kind of at that point just sort of figured, you know what, if one of my people dies, it's not a big deal. If 2 of my people dies, it's still not a big deal. As long as I have any one of basically any 2 of them, I think would be fine for Kefka. The offense was not in short supply.
Certainly not. You made short work of Tier 4. Let's talk about a little bit earlier in the seed. What was your approach to this Moogle's first tournament flag set?
I mean, I missed things like Magitek and Shock. It was it's fast, right? I mean, it's super fast, the high power, everybody's got great stats. I mean, starting this thing off, I I saw that we had a Magitek realm with 50 plus magic power. So I thought, okay, I don't need to do too much looting here. I think I can just sort of get the bare minimum and go. And then, of course, you start finding things like VKs and shops and Genji gloves. And yeah, it's kind of hard to go wrong.
Yeah, we saw you linger at that menu looking at the Valiant knife right away, and immediately we picked up on what you were thinking there, and we started talking about potential future strats, and it all came together, finding Locke, finding the offering at the Ragnarok spot, and eventually behind the Welk, Locke and Terra back to back. It was all just pretty lucky.
Yeah, super lucky. I was kind of a little concerned at the beginning when some of the characters, like that Gao, was not exactly impressive. And at the time, there were no espers that had any great spells. So at the time, I was thinking, okay, cool. If I find Locke, I can throw a VK on him. At least at the point I was at then, I still had Magitek and I still had a Ragnarok Gauntlet combo. So, I mean, Tech Missile will take you far. At that point, my biggest concern was I just need a third person to be able to do Kefka's tower. And then, support Realm in her quest to take down Kefka. And then, yeah, when Locke fell on my lap, and then a Celeste who can also use VK, I thought, okay, this is an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, you started off a little short of characters, and then you quickly found yourself overflowing with characters. You made it up to 8. How committed were you to checking for the skip on that 9th character?
I mean, I kind of half-assed it, as you can see. Like I got to 8. I hit my 9th Esper. That was the only reason I did Magitek 3. I really didn't want to do Magitek 3 that late in the game, but I thought, it's guaranteed progression. Might as well get me a character. Hopefully, it didn't. Then I did Esper Mountain, hoping it'd be a character. It was an Esper, but that's fine. And then Mobley's was dud. And at that point, there's nothing fast to check anymore. I'm not going to do Phoenix Cave. I'm not going to do Zozo. I'm not going to do the Leet River at 105 to spend 5 minutes getting a 4-minute skip. So at that point, I had to stick a fork in it and just go with my inefficient 8 characters.
Yeah, we were trying to analyze your options there, and you did, peak the quickest check available there at Mobley's. But you'll be happy to know that Zozo was an Esper reward. So if you had gone there, it would have been a little bit of a wasted time. It was going to be one of those longer checks to find that 9th character. So good decision, turns out, in just going right into Kefka's tower.
I hope it was. I mean, I could have snuck down to Zone Eater, or I could have found dried meat. I don't think I ever found dried meat. If I did, I overlooked it. But yeah, outside of those two, I was pretty much at that point. I figured I'm killing bosses fast, so I mean, the walk through Kefka's tower is good exercise. I enjoy the ambiance. There's always some new sights to see in that tower. So I thought, you know what? Let's go for a walk. I could get my steps in.
Yeah, and you got to fight that nice little piranha fight. So, Schwantz, do you have anything else for Double Down?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking before about only do the checks with the best tunes, and Kefka's Tower theme is also really great. So yeah, we'll talk more about like very early in the seed. You went for Sid, and you went to kill Sid, and you didn't even feed the man after he raised you, Granddad. You couldn't even feed him one fish. Come on now.
Not for lack of trying, Schwantz. I don't know if you saw me desperately. My little realm arms just couldn't reach far enough to get that sickly fish to feed my granddad. So I was trying desperately, and I could not catch a single fish. So, I'm not much of an angler in real life. Apparently, I'm not much of an angler in this game either.
Yeah, maybe the Yeti would have had better luck fishing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he's got those big Sasquatch arms. God damn it, Mogray, you're right.
He just would have thrown himself at all the fish. Yeti cannonballs brings all the fish up on the shore. So you've also found 2 bad helmets in a row from checks, and then you had a Mage Master death, and you went right back at him. What made you decide I want another shot at this guy?
Oh, I should have killed him the first time. I was stupid and forgot that I had just spent all that time and effort making an offering Genji glove Celeste, and then I completely forgot to use it. Ended up trying to do rages and stuff. Oh no, nobody. Yeah, this is not good.
Yeah, 3 out of 4 is down on nobody's screen, which is he also got hit with the opening Merton salvo to basically get rid of half of his team, and he did not, however, get 3 out of 4 of his party members frozen in tier 2, which luckily Locke had a fire spell on it. Otherwise, we would probably still be here because it takes forever to unfreeze your characters.
Yeah, it was nice to have a bunch of Fire 2 to spam. But no, that Mage Master, I really thought had all the tools for it, right? I mean, if you're sitting in a team with Shock and Tech Missile, and if you remember it, a Octo VK setup, you should be able to take him down easily. It's harder when you forget about the VK person. So I did my walk of shame, went back there and took him down the second time.
Oh no, the Hail Mary Magicite play is an Earth spell, and since Kefka's floating, that's not going to work. It looks like he's going for the Umaro strats here. Let's give our prayer hands up in the chat for the Yeti. With the Pearl Lance.
I have faith in Control Setzer and Umaro to get this done. I think they're the secret weapons that we overlooked the whole time.
The only other thing I had was excellent use of the morph glitch with Terra. So I kind of explained it a little bit when you did it. If you are in the morph state when you're going between tiers, you could stay permamorph. So was that something you planned on doing, or did it just happen because of where the fight took you?
Yeah, no, definitely planned on doing it. Just was kicking myself again for not remembering to do it earlier. It was getting into tier 3, and then I was like, oh wait, I have a morph first, and I there's a thing I can do. What's that thing that the real racers do? Oh, right. And then finally it all kind of came together, but too little too late. And then it never ended up being relevant anyway.
So Nobody War gets trained, and unlike in vanilla, Dark actually matters in this game. It makes you miss. So his sets are missed, and now we got Umaro versus the world here. And that's a Havoc Wing. Oh, he absorbs it.
We've got a Yeti one-on-one with Kefka. Now, Yeti is one of the most desirable characters to start in the Coliseum. Did you ever think about checking there for some high-tier items or swords?
That is a great question. I did think about it. I thought about it briefly, and then I just thought, oh man, this Yeti's not going to do it, is he? I thought about it, and then just honestly, with the Magitek huge realm there, I just thought I have no desperation for offense at this point. I'll let the seed give me stuff, and if I find I'm desperate later, I can always go back and check. But I think with a really hot high offense start like that, I'm not really inclined to spend too much time at the old Coliseum.
All right, F's in the chat as Umaro does fall to Kefka. Nobody War finds himself on the cliff. Yeti looking kind of sad.
Very sad Yeti. F's in the chat, but go give Nobody War and Double Down some follows. So before we let you go, Double Down, any final thoughts, anything we missed from your race that you would like to highlight?
No, nothing from my race. Thank you both for commentating. Thanks to SpeedGaming for hosting us. And normally, this is where I'd plug Silly Ultros League, but I'm sure people are getting sick of me plugging Ultros League. How about that Moogle's first tournament? Who's excited for that?
Yeah, we talked about at the start of the broadcast. So if any of our viewers want to try out this kind of a more entry-level flag set, they can head over to ff6wc.com. You'll find a link to our Discord there, and inside the Discord, which is public, you can get all the info on the Moogle's first tournament event. You can get paired up with someone very knowledgeable like Schwantz or Double Down, and they will mentor you through this tournament. And you can take part in all this fun action that you saw tonight.
I'm really excited. And I mean, any of these tournaments, a great opportunity to get to know people in our community. We've got some wonderful, wonderful folks in this community. You just heard two of them for the last 1 hour and 37-ish minutes. So, great chance to get to know people like Magre and Schwantz or some of the other folks in chat. I mean, awesome community, awesome tournament. Everything's awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team.
Everything is awesome. Thank you.
Is that copy? Are we getting it copyrighted now? Is that a Lego movie thing?
I didn't say with any melody. Yeah, it was sort of like a spoken word cover of it. I think we're okay.
So just to rub some salt in the wound, I'm talking with one of our other runners that was not running on stream. They were running offline, who actually ended up getting in first place. Did the Opera House with Celeste and found Golem, which was calmness protection, but more importantly, had Ultima on it. So that is certainly one way that you could have done the seed as well, if you didn't have enough things to be overpowered about with the seed. So, but yeah, anyway, Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide Randomizer. We do these runs every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, here on the SpeedGaming family of networks. We've hoped that you've enjoyed this particular race. Magre, any other final thoughts before we close this thing out?
No, just thank you to Speed Gaming for hosting us. Thank you to our runners, our featured runners, Double Down and Nobody War, and thank you to all the viewers. You guys are great.
All right, sounds awesome. We will see you back here again on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And until then, catch you later.